Okay, this meeting of the Board of Education is called to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. We'll get started by approving our agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda as presented?
I have a couple, if you would please. The third report item, the district goals report will be presented at the June meeting, so that there's some data that we're waiting for, and it hasn't been received yet as part of that report. But I would also like to, under those first four discussion items on those student trips, if we could move those, that's mostly information, if we could move those up to replace that district goals report so that our staff members that are here can do the presentation, answer your questions, and then they can leave. Then I think you had one addition.
Yeah, I'd like to add a seventh discussion item. It's a revision of policy 3.12, the superintendent evaluation. We had to make some changes to accommodate changes to the ends policy. I think that's everything. Okay, is there a motion, please, to approve the agenda as amended?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thanks, Bo. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes, and we'll proceed with our agenda as amended and go directly to the superintendent's report.
Our first item is our bond project update, and Dr. Johnny Edwards, Mr. Johnny Edwards. We've got so many doctors in the house these days.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, but I don't want to embellish my credentials, so thank you. I want to start tonight first just with our 2015 bond, which is wrapping up. One of the projects on the enhancement list is the auditorium refresh at the high schools. So tomorrow an RFP is going out for a high school refresh. The bid will close June 7th. The scope of the projects include upgrading the sound systems, rebuilding the stage floors, modernizing the lighting network infrastructure and the architectural controls, replacing the conventional lighting with LED, and replacing the multimedia projectors. Once we bring this to the board for action, one of the things we're requesting in the RFP is that none of the items that we're looking to replace be replaced until the new materials arrive on site. So we're not going to tear up the stage floor until the stage floor materials are in stock. We're not going to take down projectors until the new projectors are in stock. As you all know, there is a shortage in the supply chain, and therefore this RFP is requesting to vendors that our items stay in place until they are on site and ready for installation. Moving forward to the 2021 bond, we have now reached the schematic design final page review. The Tower Pinkston and Philly International team provided us with a detailed narrative that included a narrative for civil and landscape, architecture, structural systems, mechanical systems, electrical systems, technology, and food service. This was quite a comprehensive list. Over the next 2 weeks, OAK will provide us with an estimate of the cost of both buildings. If both buildings fall within the budget as is, then we can proceed into design development. If the preliminary costs are not within our budget, then we will have to make adjustments according to stay within the budget. Along with the schematic design, we will meet with the City of Portage officials to share our preliminary plans for both schools this Wednesday. This is a collaborative effort to discuss our timeline, site logistics, and codes that we must adhere to. We also want to know the city's plans for any construction near or around Central Elementary in Haverhill, and I imagine that this will be one of several meetings throughout the summer to finalize our design plans. And just moving over to our enhancement list and bond budget item. Barb, they have them. Okay. All right, great. Really, the only, the dollars are the same based on the projects that we've approved. The only item I really want to speak more specifically to, which I'll be bringing the board more information, is the Northern AEF parking lot install and softball parking lot enhanced. This is a project that we had been exploring several items. Where we landed was to not so much include the softball area. That area, in terms of the structure, is in a good shape. There's also some elevation issues between the new site and this area too, and we believe it will drive the cost up substantially. So now that we have taken the plans back to Portage, once they give us our preliminary design okay, we would like to bring back to the board a proposal for that project that will include upwards to 60+ additional spaces in that area. And our goal would be to do that project in the fall, not this summer. In terms of the actual budgetary items, there are roughly $3.7 million remaining in an unallocated contingency. And there will be additional items that will come to the board specifically around Northern High School academic curtain wall replacement. Ideally, that project will be next summer, and we would like to share plans with the design for that as well before that goes out to the RFP. And the the stable and dog house divider curtain systems, items 13 and 14, has picked up more traction as we have sent our preliminary plans to the state. Anytime you're looking to put in a system that would be attached to the ceilings, then we needed some mechanical and structural engineering to show the state that what we propose will sustain itself once they are installed. So that concludes my bond update report along with the budgetary item report. Are there any questions that I can answer for the board? Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And the second report is our financial report. Paula Johnson's here to do that.
Good evening, Board of Ed and Superintendent Ewing. Included in your board packet this month was a financial report through April 30th. 10 months of our school year has passed us. I don't know where it went. Just to bring a few highlights to you, some I've mentioned before. Local revenue is up compared, actually local revenue is down, so let's skip that one. Federal revenue is down from last year because of, we received all of our coronavirus relief money up front last year and spent it into this school year, so that's the variance there. I'd like to move down in the expenditure area underneath operations and maintenance. A year ago at this time, our costs were higher than they are now. We were buying a lot of PPE-related supplies. Those are not being purchased at this time to the magnitude that it was a year ago. Transportation costs are up compared to last year because we are running buses 5 days a week now instead of just 4. Central support services are up because of athletic. We're running all of our athletic-related events again. The tech software costs are up as well. That falls into that category. And then under childcare services, we are running higher than last year because this program has ran all school year and didn't start late in the year like it did previously. Just to give you a little bit of general update about what's going on in regards to the state school aid package for next year, the consensus revenue estimating conference was Friday morning from 9 to 12. I listened to that, and things are looking very good on revenue side. We are surpassing projected targets on both the state school aid side of the budget and the general fund side of the budget. Combined balance sheets looking at Senate and House fiscal agency for the state school aid fund, they're projecting that there's going to be $5 billion worth of funds to carry over into next year. So this should be very interesting to see how everything plays out in regards to funding for next school year, which we are bringing you a budget next month. And we probably won't know our funding by the time I bring it to the board for approval. If you recall, the governor's recommendation for an increase was $435 per pupil. The House recommended a $300 per pupil increase, and the Senate's increase was $450. One thing that I'd like to point out to the board is, since the governor released her budget, inflation has increased. Now we know we have more revenue than we knew we had back in February. So I really hope that this would become a positive outcome, for the school districts in the state of Michigan in regards to funding. I know that legislators are striving to finish the budget by the third week of June because they want to go home and start campaigning for the election that's coming up in November. So another thing to stay tuned for. But that's just all that I know at this time. We don't have a final number for funding. We just know that numbers are up, and projected increases by all three agencies vary. There's also other caveats in each one of those, but I really feel that it'll come down to some serious negotiation as far as, do they want to buy down the MIPSRS rate? How much do they want to put into the per pupil funding? It could get really interesting. Any questions?
We'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'd add is that I know several of us were able to attend the grand opening of the new senior center across the street from here. So that was a very nice event. It drew about 500 people there, including the governor and other. Fred Upton was there, our representative, and I see Sarah Baker's in the audience. She was one of the co-chairs of our the capital finance, the capital campaign committee that was spearheaded the funding for the center. So obviously you did your job, Sarah, so thank you. And we have, what a great asset it is for senior citizens in our community. And the place, if you haven't had a chance to go over and take a look at it, is just a wonderful facility. Some great spaces in there for activities and meetings and such, so lucky to have that. That's all I have on the report. We're going to do the trip, so Dr. Pasco, if you want to lead that part, please.
Good evening, Superintendent Beeline, trustees. We have a few trips for our discussion tonight. We have Heather Canenguez, representing Northern High School's Spanish Club. She has a trip that she'll give some more details on for summer 2023 to Costa Rica. She'll also present tonight on their plans to take their students to Peru summer 2024. Then we have Rachel Flax from the Central High School French Club as well, talk about their trip to France. And then that will be followed by Kathy Lorenzing, looking at the biology and Spanish students' trip from Central High School to Ecuador and Galapagos Islands. Again, some wonderful trips that are being planned in the future. So we'll go Heather, Rachel, and Lauren in that order. So come on up, Heather.
Good evening. I'm excited to be back in front of the board with trips to offer for the northern students. After our trip was canceled in 2020, took the break like most schools had to. We've switched companies and we're going to be going with World Strides now just because of World Strides and Explorica have been working more with Portage Public Schools. The different trips that are taking place are now more through that company. They're offering a little bit more as far as the trip insurance, travel insurance, to ensure that should something happen again, the students are covered and they're able to get their money back with that insurance. Where the students this last time, unfortunately, the families lost some money in that because the company that we were working with before was smaller and couldn't give back everything. So we're looking with these ones. In 2023, we want to go because I have juniors in IB right now that have been eagerly awaiting a trip to go use the Spanish that they've been learning in class. And this trip will have homestay, which is always an important part with me in traveling with the students, to be able to allow the students to use Spanish in a more real world situation. And then also it's going to have some community service components with schools. We're not quite sure exactly what the assignment will be there, but they'll have that as well. And then the trip to Peru, I wanted to start that one a little bit earlier so that we're able to give the students more time to raise that money. The company that we're traveling with, they will do monthly payments, so by starting earlier, that puts the monthly payment a lot lower because we're spending more time. That'll give us more time to fundraise. This company also does financial aid for the students, so it makes it more attainable for all of our students to be able to do that between the financial aid and the fundraising that we'll be able to do with that. So I don't know if there are other questions, or I think you have both of my proposals.
Well, you answered my question about 2024. It seemed like a long time away, but I.
Yeah. And the nice thing is with that trip insurance, I think they said that it was $149 for the trip insurance. They can cancel at any point for any reason. So should the student sign up right now and they decide that in a year that that's just not something that they're going to be able to participate in, they can cancel and get their money back. So.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I don't think that Rachel is here. So, it'll be fine.
I'm Bonnie Moss, by the way. I don't think my name was on there. We'll be hoping to take our students to Ecuador next year. We're doing a Spanish biology trip. So this is Kathy Lorenzig, and we had planned to go in 2020. We had 36 students that were traveling with us signed up to go, and that trip obviously was canceled. Fortunately, the company that we went with did give them their money back had they purchased the insurance. So we are going to use that same company, Explorica, which is also World Strides, with that same insurance policy in place. We love the idea of doing biology Spanish trip because it appeals to a large group of students. I, of course, love the Spanish part because they'll be speaking Spanish the whole time that they're there. This will be my 5th trip in my 20 years here, traveling with students. And I think it is the most enriching experience that our kids can have outside of the classroom using their Spanish tools. But I'm excited to go with Kathy with the biology spin too.
Yeah, so I'm more interested in the biology portion and the help from the Spanish people, Spanish-speaking people. But obviously, as a biologist, the Galapagos is the foundation of Darwin's theory of evolution, and we've been talking about that in class, and they'll get to see the species richness, the diversity amongst all the islands, and visit Darwin's Research Center, and just do a plethora of things. We're going to go snorkeling a few times, and hike mountains, and see volcanoes, and it's just an amazing trip. You think you have the itinerary on there, so just looking forward to it. We were sad that we had to cancel it a couple years ago, and we're happy to get it going again and head on over there. So,
Do you have any questions for us?
Have to be Spanish students and biology students, or can you be
either or neither.
Or
Some
neither.
kids that may have
I
had,
like it?
maybe if they had biology last year and now they're not in biology anymore, they could come along with us. I've had some requests like that already.
Great.
So,
What's the max number of students you can take?
we had 36 signed up for the last trip. If we get that many, that's probably,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's a lot of kids, but we don't want to discourage people from coming here.
And if we do get to that number, we will add a couple of chaperones.
Oh, yes, we will definitely add chaperones. And we have more than enough volunteers.
There's some interested parties out here.
We have a list.
Michelle's got her hand up.
Yes.
I just think it's exciting. We've had so many trips come up. I feel like, the world's opening back up, and like hopefully all the fast food places along the Western, these kids are all going to be gone next summer. Because it seems like a lot of kids are going to be participate in some trips, which is just really exciting. So I just appreciate you guys putting this together for us. What a fun stuff. Fun and obviously worldly. So,
Awesome experience. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it on the reports.
Okay, so we're gonna wait.
Dr. Pasco? Do you want to, are we going to do France next time?
Rachel said she was coming today, so I guess we'll have to follow up.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're good. We'll go to our comments and communications section, and the first thing is comments from citizens. And I'll ask our secretary to read our guidelines for public comment, please.
Public comment at board meetings. The board welcomes community input at our board meetings and recognizes the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. To permit fair and orderly public expression, please conform to these guidelines when addressing the board. Attendees must register their intention to speak during the public participation portion of the meeting by completing the speaker registration form at the beginning of the meeting. Individuals may not register others to speak. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and may not be called in the order in which they have signed up to speak. Speakers are requested to state their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. Limit comments to 3 minutes. Direct all comments to the board and not to staff or to other participants. Speakers may not yield any of their speaking time to others. Provide a written copy of the comments and supporting documentation to the board secretary if available. Present your comments in a respectful and professional manner to model behavior expected of Portage students. Refrain from mentioning any student by name. Contact the superintendent directly regarding personnel matters. Board of Education meetings are held for the purpose of conducting the business of the school district and are not considered to be community meetings. Board members are not obligated to respond to issues raised during public comment. Normally, such issues are referred to or followed up on by our administrators.
Thank you, Celeste. Our first speaker tonight is Jada Blake. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Jada Blake. I'm a student at Portage Central High School. I'm in 11th grade. And I'm here to address the issue of whitewashing and racism within our 11th grade English classes, especially in the way we teach the book To Kill a Mockingbird. Firstly, this book is by a white woman on the subject of racism and ableism. Not only is it written by a white woman, but it is from the perspective of a white family portraying a white savior complex to the reader. A white savior complex is when someone feels as if they are a hero for helping people of color for the reason that they can't help themselves. In the book, they use a mockingbird as a metaphor for a black man being wrongfully accused of raping a white woman. To paraphrase, to kill a mockingbird is a sin because they don't do anything but make music for people to listen to. In other words, a person of color shouldn't be put on trial because they don't do anything but work for the white people's benefit. Secondly, the way we are taught this book presents the idea that racism is a thing of the past. The instances of racism are outdated and difficult to connect with the current state of racial injustice happening around us today. In addition, I'd like to add that this book uses the N-word, a racial slur, and is being used by characters that are white. Though we're told not to say it in class, we aren't educated to why it shouldn't be used. Rather, we're kind of told that it's just how they used to talk in the time period. I'd like to propose that this book be taken out of the curriculum before next year and replaced with a book written by a person of color on the subject of their authentic experience dealing with racism in today's day and age. At the minimum, students should be given a selection of material written by people of color to explore instead of reading To Kill a Mockingbird. I have a few book suggestions, so I have 3. And it's The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie, James Baldwin's The Notes of a Native Son, 1985, and Trees by Percival Everett. Thank you.
Our next speaker tonight, I'm not sure I'm going to read this right, Ludwig McCartney, if I have that right?
Yes, you do.
I bet I butchered it, but...
Oh, I'm used to it. So I'm Reverend G. Ludwig McCartney. I'm the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Community Church in Portage. And I am also the proud grandparent of a biracial 10-year-old Portage student. And so first of all, allow me to thank you for all the wonderful work that you've done in order to facilitate equity in the public, Portage Public School District. You have supported equity, inclusion, and you've done work in anti-racism here in Portage, and I'm proud of that and grateful for it. I'm also grateful that you have addressed the dress code, that you are allowing students to dress according to their gender identity. You are not requiring, therefore, students to fit in. You are allowing them to belong. And it is our greatest desire in life to belong. And fitting in is actually the opposite of belonging. Fitting in means that we have to sacrifice something that is intrinsically, truly ours in order to keep the peace, in order to be approved of. So you, by addressing the dress code, are allowing students to belong, and that is a wonderful gift. And it should be a given, really. And so I'm grateful for the work you've done, and I also encourage you to keep working. And I have a few suggestions. There's so many, and I would just suggest a few, okay? So I would like you to accurately and consistently incorporate African American and LGBTQ visibility and presence in the curriculum. I would like you to introduce implicit bias training for all district salaried and contract positions and for students. I would like you to actively recruit and hire qualified teachers and administrators of color, and address inequitable or biased disciplinary policies and personnel actions to reduce racial inequity. So thank you so very much, and good luck. Your work is cut out, and you're uniquely qualified to meet this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker tonight is Sarah Baker. It says Sarah Bake, but I knew it was Sarah Baker.
No, I think there's not there. Thank you. Superintendent, Board of Trustees, thanks for allowing me to be here tonight. Sarah Baker, 5769 Stony Brook Road, a registered voter, citizen, parent, and wife of a faculty member. I came for 3 items. I wanted to thank Superintendent Beeling, trustees, Randy Van Antwerp, and Dr. Sheldon Harris for coming to our ribbon cutting on Friday at the new Portage Community Senior Center. It shows a real commitment to creating an age-friendly community for learners of all ages. And Mark, not to call you out, but senior citizens start at age 50, and we welcome all of you to join. A special thank you to Trustee Rusty Rathburn for making a lead gift in honor and in memory of an educational leader, Rocky Rathburn. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Trustees Snyder and Rathburn for coming to a community gathering a couple of weeks ago on your values journey, and we had a great discussion, just a few of us, but it was very thoughtful, and I would appreciate in future more notice to be given to community members further on the other side of 131. I know it was advertised in the Portage and on social media, but those of us who live in Texas Township, a fair number of households do not receive that publication, so something in writing for this senior citizen still is always appreciated. And then finally, I come to speak and remind, put on the record, that this Thursday, May 26th at 6 p.m., our local representative, Christine Morris, is holding a town hall meeting to talk about school violence. Dr. Pasco is on the panel, and I just think Christine and I have worked together for a while, and in last conversations in December, around the Oxford high school tragedy. And I think it may be time for us to start pressing at the state levels to have more protection for school administrators and faculty staff to be able to have cover to put preventative measures in place when there's a prediction or threat of school violence. Certainly we need to protect the interests of the learner, but you also have many, many learners and faculty members in our school buildings. And so I don't think this is just a Portage Public School issue. I don't think it's a Michigan issue. I think it's a national issue. And Christine's giving us an opportunity to talk about how to create safe learning environments. Thank you very much.
Okay, that ends our public comment for the evening. Are there any comments from trustees?
So, I had an opportunity to go to both the Ivy Awards ceremonies, Portage Central and Portage Northern, and they were absolutely enlightening. The topics were, some of them were so long it was difficult to remember or to pronounce some of the names. But it was a great opportunity to celebrate educators, and it was extremely heartwarming to see the passion that students gave as they talked about their significant teachers. So I get really excited about it because I was in that first group where I was part of wordsmithing the application back in 1997. So to see it now, it's really exciting.
Thanks, Les. Anyone else?
Alrighty, I'll go. Specifically on Sarah's comment, the senior center. Thanks, Sarah, for your efforts. I feel like the senior community, this whole community has done a lot for kids. And now the community did something back, because I know there's a lot of seniors in this community that support our schools and support our kids, and this community got to give back to them. I know Sarah knows how I feel about that. So thanks for everybody's efforts. That's a great facility. And now, officially today, I think about 2:40, the school board no longer has any board members with students in this district. Now, he doesn't graduate, but he's done. So I've had my last child go through Portage Public Schools. Brad, same boat as I am. It's just been a really wonderful journey, and there's been some great people along the way. Parents do so much to form their kids, but there are people within our district who touch our kids and nudge them, and my kids wouldn't be where they are today just because of anything I've done or more what my wife has done. But there's been people along the way that have done just some wonderful things for my kids, and it's just really odd. So I'm done with this journey. I know everybody on this dais has been on the journey. Celeste, you're just starting it again. So
For the grandchild.
For the grandchild. So thank you to everybody. It's been fun. I just appreciate all the people along the way have touched our lives.
Thanks, Rusty.
Well, and I'll just say, certainly as the legacy of being a part of it, my 4 kids went through Portage Northern, and it's a thrill to see all the trips coming back. I had a son who got to do the Peru trip and had a wonderful time there and was really well prepared from a language standpoint when he got there. Later on in college, he did 6 months in Madrid. He now works at a job that he got because of his bilingual abilities down in Nashville. So it's something right here that he's going to take with him forever and thrive with it.
Thank you, Keith.
I'll just tag on to something Rusty said. So you haven't gotten there yet, Rusty, but some of the rest of us have with kids that are out in the world in careers. And I know at least one of my kids, a couple of different times, has had the opportunity to reconnect with Portage teachers that she had because they were visiting the city where she lives, sometimes with students. And my daughter's had the opportunity to meet with those students and talk to them about what she does. But other times it's just been a social evening with the former teacher and their family. And it's just like the coolest thing ever to see that these people have made such a mark on your children that your children will never, ever forget. So it's pretty cool. Your time will come.
Randy, I would just like to thank our three speakers tonight for their thoughtful comments. And one is a current high school student, and it is extra special when a high school student addresses us on an important public issue. So thank you very much. And for my colleagues, good retreat today. It was extra time, but it's always time well spent. And then with the trips abroad, I was reflecting as a 16-year-old, I got to go to France and Switzerland for like 10 days. Yeah, 16, yeah, it was a long time ago.
Who was 16 once?
Yeah, right. Back in another half century.
That's just about right over and back.
Right, yes, on the Cunard line, right. But it's special, and so it gets me reflecting, and that's a significant experience for me.
And Bo's going to speak French the rest of the meeting.
So there was a meeting a few years ago, and Rachel Flock was here, and I was challenged to count to 20 in French, and I think I got like 17 of them right.
You're in Belgium.
I'd just like to tag on to Celeste's comments about the IB presentations. It's really great to hear these graduates speak, and they're just exceptional people, and it's really rewarding, as are all the end of the year awards ceremonies, and we got a retirement party coming up for teachers as well, and it's a real special time at the end of the year. It makes you understand why you're on the school board, you know, it really does. So anyway, that's all I have. I think we can go to the consent agenda on page 7. We have 4 items tonight. The first is the approval of the May 9th, 2022 Committee of the Whole work session. And then the next 3 were items that we discussed at our last meeting on May 9th. Number 2, that the Board of Education approve the renewal of Chartwell's food service management contract for the 2022-23 school year and authorize the Director of Finance to execute the contract renewal agreement. Third, that the Board of Education authorize the purchase of 2 switches from Dell Technologies in an amount not to exceed $39,406, the proceeds for which to be drawn from the 2021 bond fund. And finally, that the Board of Education authorize the purchase of 1,550 Chromebooks from C-High Computer Products in an amount not to exceed $409,773.50, the funds for which to be drawn from ESSER 11T and the 2022-23 general fund as needed. Are there any exceptions to any of the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Our next item is a required action item on page 22, and that's approval of the K-RESA 2022-23 general fund budget. Is there a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I make the motion the Board of Education adopt a resolution provided indicating support of the K-RESA General Election Fund budget for the 2022-23 school year as presented.
Thank you, Keith. Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, or is there any discussion? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes and that carries. The general fund budget is approved. Our next action item is on page 29, and that's to set the budget hearing date for our 2022-23 budget. Is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Education set a public hearing on the proposed 2022-23 budget for June 27, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. and authorize the Board Secretary to publish the required notice in the Kalamazoo Gazette.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion to set the budget hearing is adopted, and that'll be on June 27th. Our second action item is to set a special meeting regarding the superintendent evaluation on page 32. We've been given a couple of different times to start the meeting. One's at 4:30, one's at 5. Any preference there? My own is 4:30, so I'm not rushed. 4:30, okay? Everything? Okay, on page 32, is there a motion, please, to begin the evaluation at 4:30 p.m.?
President Van I move that the Board of Education set a special meeting for the superintendent evaluation for June 27, 2022 at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a second, please? Thank you. All in favor of approving the special meeting for the superintendent evaluation, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. The date is set. And now our next item is Dan Bomastic item on page 86, the staff desktop computer purchase.
Trustees, before you is just a standard recommendation to update our teacher desktops and selected office desktops throughout the district. This purchase is coming from the state contract, and so an RFP was required. As I mentioned in the memo, the district is working very, very hard to get away from Windows-based machines and work exclusively in the Chrome OS because the total life cycle cost is so much lower. But we still have just enough Windows-only apps we haven't found replacements for that the desktops still need to stay Windows. But hopefully this will be the last time I recommend an en masse purchase of Windows clients to the board. So with that, any questions on that one? Okay. The second one before you is a replacement Chromebooks for our staff. Our current staff Chromebooks were purchased in 2016, and they are certainly at the end of their useful life. We have been working very hard to find a suitable replacement for staff Chromebooks. This is actually the second RFP we've issued on this topic. The first RFP did not yield any results that we liked. We decided to wait for the state contract to come out. We could not find anything on the state contract that we liked. This coming to you tonight is a result again of that second RFP, and we do have a candidate unit we do like. It's very similar to our student Chromebooks in the sense that it's an HPG series, but it's a much nicer unit with larger screen, better speakers, better processor, all of those items. Should it please the board, I would like to recommend this move to action tonight. Right now, I'm hearing from the vendor that the ship times for this device is a little bit longer than we would like. And if possible, I would like to have these in the hands of the staff for the start of the school year. I will mention one caveat. We have not finished our full teardown and rebuild of this Chromebook yet. Every candidate Chromebook we're going to buy a lot of. We always purchase one ahead of time. We tear it apart and rebuild it so the building techs can get a feel for potential durability and or repair issues. Because this is an HPG series, we're very familiar with it. I'm very confident that teardown will go well, but I will know the final result on that probably by the end of the business day on Wednesday. And this one will come from ESSER funds. I work with the business office, and they've been more than helpful to make sure that we can keep using those grant funds for capital purchases versus recurring expenses, as mentioned in our retreat earlier today. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Dan. Is the board obliged to take action on this item tonight? If so, then can we have a motion to bring this item to action? Please.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to move the discussion item revision to policy 3.1 to action. Is that the right one?
No, you don't have language for this one, so just to move the Chromebook purchase.
I'll just move the Chromebook purchase to an action item.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The Chromebooks are now an action item. Can we have a motion, please, to approve?
Mr. President, I'll move from the recommendation line to the memo, and see if we can get it close here, but I move that the Board of Ed authorize the purchase of 700 Chromebooks from CI Computer Products in an amount not to exceed $437,500, funds being drawn from ESSER and the 2021 bond.
Thank you. Is there any, is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the spring 22 staff Chromebook refresh, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes and the Chromebooks are on the way. And now we're going to go back to page 66 and take a little trip to France with Rachel. Thanks for being here.
First of all, I apologize. I have a 3- and 5-year-old at home. By the time I got home, got them dinner, was getting them ready for bed, I had completely forgotten about school, so I really apologize. When I left school, I was planning on doing this. Even my husband said, "Don't you have something tonight?" I'm like, no, I'm like making the tacos, so I apologize. So thank you for your patience. Got a little wrapped up in the motherhood side. We are proposing to travel to France again next summer. This will be a joint trip between Portage Northern and Portage Central. Giving our students opportunities to use their language skills in an authentic context and to experience new culture. It's always a life-changing experience for these kids. And we went 4 years without traveling. It's time to travel again.
Just to prove certain French teachers making tacos.
What's that?
A French teacher's making tacos.
What about croque monsieur? Busy mama that works hard. So I had chicken already shredded, so we're thoroughly together. But yes.
So one question I had that just came up from the other trips is, lack of a better word, an escape clause, insurance for students should the trip fall through.
Yes. Yep. The students have an opportunity when they sign up to purchase an insurance policy for that. Yep. Which is exactly what our students from 2020 and 21 did as well. So.
And you said this is a joint trip between the two?
Correct. Mm-hmm. My original paperwork did not have it being a joint trip, but I spoke to my colleague at Northern who would like to join them together if that's possible.
Good. Thank you very much.
Any questions for me? Oh, I heard you wanted to speak some more French now. That's what somebody in the back told me, that's all I'm saying.
I made it to 3 this year.
There you go.
I'm giving up to 6.
Again, my apologies.
No problem.
For your patience.
We have one more discussion item, and that's the revision to policy 3.12. You have a packet at your places. Policy committee met on Friday and is recommending that the board update the superintendent evaluation form to reflect changes in the global lens that the board made back in October. So you have the copy in front of you of the changes that were made, and then you have a clean copy with the changes incorporated. So anyway, we'd like to, if you get those back to Barb by the 21st of June, that would be really good. And I don't know if anybody has any questions about this one, but it's basically just making the appropriate changes to the evaluation form that were mandated by the changes in the policy. We okay bringing that to action and very interested?
So there's really only one change?
No, there's a few.
Oh, okay.
I mean, 1.5 doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And there's something we don't bring, and we added the resilience and life policy. But they're all there. Barbara went through it with a fine-tooth comb, so So could we have a motion, please, to move this to action?
I guess I'll try to do this again in the right order, since I screwed up the last time. Yes, Randy, I'd like to make a motion that we move discussion item revision to policy 3.12 to action.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The motion has been approved, and it's now an action item. And do we have a motion to approve the new policy, please, revisions?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the revision to policy 3.12 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes, and the revisions to the policy are approved. And on page 99, there is a motion to go into closed session to discuss collective bargaining strategy. Is there a motion, please?
President Van Antwerp, I move that the Board of Education move into closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining strategy as allowed under the Open Meetings Act 15.268, Section 8C.
Thank you, Terry. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kurt. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes, and we'll be moving into closed session.
Right next door.
Okay. And we'll be coming back.
Brad, this is okay to do post-closed session action, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we will be coming back.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Let's take
Okay, we're back in open session to approve the 22-24 collective bargaining agreement with the Bus Drivers Association. Is there a motion, please, on page 100?
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve the 2022 and 2024 collective bargaining agreement with the Portage Bus Drivers Association, MEA/NEA.
Thank you. Bo, is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Celeste. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you very much. This meeting is now closed.
If we just raised
Good.
He went up 45%.
And I need evaluation